Good evening and
Afternoon.
good afternoon to you and good evening from me. How are you doing, Tracy?
Doing great. Hey, just one quick thing I noticed when I was trying to share on Facebook.
I know.
I didn't see us on the
I see it. So they just told us they were telling me something in here that they were having a problem with it on their end.
Facebook end. So for people, then they should go to YouTube. But you wouldn't
Correct.
even know because I was going to say, unless people are picking us up on YouTube, they're not. If they're looking for us on Facebook, they're not going to find us right now.
So how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
Music is okay. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Excellent, excellent. What I'm going to do is we can keep on. Can you hear me?
I can.
Um, we'll keep on talking here. Let me go in the background and do something quickly.
Okay.
So it comes up on Facebook. But how are you doing? How have you been?
I have been good. We had a little bit of a break, didn't we? We've been away again for another month. Hopefully we will be able to get back into cadence. I know people keep asking like, okay, I never know when you guys are going to actually be live or not. So we apologize for people who show up to see us live and you're getting a repeat, but things have been good around here. There's a lot developing. We actually are getting ready to add a new member to our family for the next year.
Okay.
We have
Yes.
an Italian exchange student arriving on Labor Day. So this coming Monday, which is going to be, we're so excited. I mean, we've been planning this. I've mentioned it before. We've been planning this for about 6 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we've been preparing the house and her room and getting the last minute. There's been a few kind of snafus with things that she needed that weren't done, and so she's been, poor thing. I mean, so they have I wouldn't say nationwide exams, but in Europe the system is different, and depending on what your track is, what you want your career to be. They have different schools and different exam programs and all of that based on whatever that track is. And so her track, she had national exams this past week. So it's one of the reasons why she's coming here a week late, because the school that she'll be going to started this week. So she'll be coming a week late, which is not ideal, but she said she just texted us today and said she passed her exams, which was absolutely mandatory for her to be able to come here. So she's really excited about that, and that's exciting for us as well. So
That's
yeah.
excellent. That's excellent. We should be live on Facebook now.
Okay,
I
great.
just did a couple of things on there. Let me go there and share, and then we'll just
So how are
yeah.
you?
I now let's is that a trick question? Because what you want to see me do is want to see if I can talk and go places at the same time. So I shall attempt to do
Yeah.
such.
Yeah, if you can't, I'm good at soliloquy.
I
But
know. No, I'm well. I'm well. We've been away, as you stated, for quite a while, having some reruns. I think I was traveling back to Africa, to Liberia, and then there we go. Share now. Yay! I know, you see, I can't do it too. I can't do two in one. So no, but it's been well. And you went on vacation also.
yes.
I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
you
We
went on
were on.
vacation,
hmm,
and how was that?
So vacation was good. We actually kind of did the let's jam it all into, well, actually that's not true. Well, yeah, jamming it all into like a 3 week period of time. We at the end of July, we went to the Keys, the Florida Keys for the first
Okay.
time. Had
Okay.
a blast.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. And it's funny because you know how when you get ready to go someplace, you start talking to people, and we found out just how many people have been there and actually go there regularly. And what's really funny is when we were there, but mostly when we got back, we
Mm-hmm.
had just missed people we knew by, I mean, one particular couple who we know really well here where we live,
Uh-huh.
um, was there at the same time, and we were in Key West the same day they were. They were taking pictures
Oh.
and posting them, and we missed each other from where they were posting like by a
Uh-huh.
couple hours because we were there that same day, but came through that particular location a little bit later in the day. So it was really crazy because I said
Yeah.
we would have run into so many people we knew had
You
we just
knew.
not barely missed them. Yeah. One guy actually I studied in Switzerland. He's Liechtensteinian, so he's from Liechtenstein. Met
Okay.
him when I was over there years ago. He and his family were going the week after. And I haven't seen him in like what 30 years.
Oh
So I was like,
wow.
oh darn, we could have planned because it's a small area. I mean, we
Yeah.
stayed in Duck Key, but you can drive to any one of the keys
Hmm.
pretty easily. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty wild. I was like, oh geez, that would have been crazy, to have a reunion 30 years later in the Keys. But anyway, it was fun.
Sometimes it may have been a blessing because was going to do a whole lot of other things you hadn't planned, which is a good thing, but more time with family, right? I
Well,
know
more
we
time
went.
with family, yeah, but I mean, it's so easy down there because it's just hangout time. Although
It
we
is.
were busy. I mean, we did parasailing, we swam with dolphins, we did snorkeling.
Are you
We
the
jammed a
one
lot in.
who would? Are you the one who would get all the pack your vacations with activities?
Oh no,
Okay. Okay.
I'm I'm not that
Okay.
way. I'm typically like, let's figure it out when we get there. I mean,
I
there's
know.
usually when I go on vacation, there's a couple places I want to hit, but otherwise
Correct.
I'm very much in the moment. Like, hey, I don't know what I don't know, and there might be something I don't know I want to do once I get there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
but Jeff had planned a lot of this stuff because it was a celebration of both my birthday and my daughter's birthday, which we have birthdays
Okay.
2 weeks apart. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So he had planned a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So we just showed up and was like, oh, okay, we'll do
Yeah.
this today. Oh, okay, I mean, we were doing things within the same day. So like the day we swam with dolphins, we also snorkeled.
Okay.
So we swam with
Gotcha.
dolphins in the morning and then we snorkeled in the afternoon. And so we were, I mean, because we were, so 2 days travel out of 5 days altogether. So we only
Mm.
had 3 days effectively.
Oh
And
wow.
one of the
Wow.
days was so Key West is the furthest key,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Of the
that you
key.
visit. And so we rented bikes. We got there decent time in the morning, rented bikes and biked all throughout Key West all day. So that was a full day. That was the day before we flew back from Florida. And
Gotcha.
so, yeah, so it's essentially we had 2 full days to
Hmm.
do stuff, which isn't a lot. So,
So,
yeah.
eavesdroppers, we were just catching up on where we've been the past 2 weeks. Some been flying over the ocean, some's been flying over the southern part of America. But yeah, we are. Thank you so much. And if you're watching, now come on, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know who you are. And as you're eavesdropping, drop a note in here. You never know, it might become the hot topic. So, what's on your mind?
Yeah, what is, well, I'm curious to find out how because you were recently just here. I mean, you just flew back to Liberia after being
Yes.
here, and we still haven't met face to face. Like, we
Nope.
still didn't get together when you were
No.
here in North
And
Carolina.
we were planning to do a live together, and that just didn't materialize. But hey, it'll happen, when the time is right, as we always do when the time is right. No, I'm well. We flew back for Jazz's graduation, and just stayed until she was able to go on campus. So we took her on campus on, I think it was the 11th of August, and on the 16th, I was leaving to come. So she's, been talking to her. She's okay, right? I didn't have any concerns. Mom didn't have any concerns either. But it's the baby.
Yeah. So this is
It's
your second, just so everybody knows, this is
yeah.
your youngest just went away to college.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And Wulwyn moved in an apartment. Hmm. Wow, an apartment by himself. I know it's a cold. The four rooms in there, but he's in an apartment by himself. That's different
That's
for me,
another that's a big benchmark too. So your
isn't
oldest
it?
just moved, like just adulted fully into his,
Yeah,
own apartment shared with
on
other
campus.
roommates.
Hmm.
Right. But
Yeah,
still, like,
yeah.
yeah. And your youngest went away for the first time. So your wife and you're in Liberia, like your wife, is she celebrating the
She's
fact that she
celebrating,
has all this
and
time to herself?
it, and luckily, I think I'm getting the best end of this stick. She's coming over hopefully next week. So uh, I'm a happy man. I'm a happy camper.
Well, I bet she is too, that's gotta be
Yes,
great. When was the last
yes.
time she was in Liberia?
She was in Liberia September of no December of last year. Yeah, she
So,
was here
yeah, a little
December or
bit less than a
so.
year.
And then I was there for 3 months, and now she's coming back. So that's a good thing. That's a
Yeah.
good thing, because I think these long distance relationships, where when we were younger and we said, long distance relationship, which was phones, etc. I'm grateful, one, that communication technology has improved so much that Bell Atlantic and AT&T aren't charging you 25 cents per minute. Because I remember when we were in D, she was in DC and I was in North Carolina in '98. It was so expensive, two, three, $400 telephone bills. But now with WhatsApp and Zoom, you can just get on and interact. So the long distance part, communication, touching, that's another level,
Mhm.
but at least you're seeing and engaging.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
and
agree. I was dating a guy who was Swiss, when I was in undergrad, and
uh-huh.
I remember I actually got an extra job my senior year just to pay for my phone bill because he and I would talk on the phone from the States to Switzerland. I mean, it was
Oof,
like three, four hundred
oof.
dollars a month, easy.
Yes,
And it was
yes.
crazy. And those weren't even very long conversations. So yeah, it is nice that
Mm,
we have that luxury. I mean, these kids these days don't understand. My daughter's so funny. She'll ask me, though, it'll come up every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, no, we
uh,
didn't have that when I was a kid. And she's like, Mom,
how did you
how did
guys
you
do
live? Like, how did you, like, how does that even work? I'm like, yeah, I know that blows your mind. It feels very caveman like. I get it, but
uh,
so
but but
we actually did great. Like we probably did better in some cases.
you know, you say this. Did I tell you about the ice cream at the event? Yeah, we did talk about the ice
Yeah, yeah,
cream.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just in line with not looking at your phones, you miss a whole lot looking at the phones and not looking at your surroundings.
So
I'm
I have
grateful.
this is going to sound like I'm totally going off on a different tangent, which,
Go.
like our
This is how we
conversations,
do.
yeah, that's right. This is how we roll. So I am, how do I say reading? A lot of my reading these days is Audible. I love
Okay.
Audible. Big shout
Okay.
out to Audible. um, and I'm reading. So one of my colleagues mentioned a book to me, and it really applies to some of the work that we're doing. So there's a number of us who are working with an organization right now in different capacities, and some of
Mm-hmm.
the things that we're helping our client with from our various perspectives. I mean, this particular other fractional had said, what we use a lot. He's an EOS implementer, and he said he says I go by this one book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I haven't read that one. So I got it on Audible, and I'm like halfway through, and I really love Patrick Lencioni. I think that's how you pronounce his name, the
His
author.
name. Mm-hmm.
It is a great book because it's one of those that, I love John C. Maxwell's work. He talks a lot about what creates a good team. Brene Brown has
Correct.
a lot of, work, and in her book Dare to Lead and other things, talks about what creates a good team. But what I
Mm-hmm.
love about what Lencioni did is that he took his framework of five dysfunctions and he put it into a story. So it's about a fictional organization, and
Okay.
how this new CEO came in and kind of turned this team she was working with around. And it's just it's so fun to listen to, because I'll tell you what, I mean, a person who spends so much time just buried in leadership stuff, right, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
reading articles or books or whatever it is, it can be really dry. It's good information,
Correct.
but it can be really
Correct.
dry. And after a while you start to crave the fictional books that have absolutely nothing to do with what you do for a career. This is
Yes.
a nice medium. It's both. It's really well done. It's great framework. So for anybody who hasn't read that book or might be interested, if you're in leadership, but it's great for really understanding the team dynamics, and
Correct.
and the importance, I think, of being able to have those crucial conversations. That's what I'm getting out of it. It's just,
Mm.
I was talking to our one of my clients, but I was also discussing it with our new exchange student, because one of my clients is from Italy as well. And he said,
Okay.
it's so different over there because, and I know this from knowing the French culture as well, as debate is such an important part of their culture. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they can have heated, like knock down, drag out debates and walk away with their arms around each other. Like there's this value to it, but it comes up in the book is that teams, in order to make the right kind of decisions, right, the greater
Mm.
good types of decisions that benefit everybody in the long run, even if it creates some discomfort, right,
Yeah.
in the interim,
Yeah.
are essential. We need to learn how
Mm.
to debate and argue healthfully, and we're really not
Yeah.
taught that. We're not taught that in our families of origin. We're not taught that in society. If anything, I think, I don't remember exactly when the political correct movement started, but we're so triggered by anything uncomfortable when it comes to interpersonal interactions,
Yeah.
that we stay away from those crucial debates or conflicts, and
Yeah.
so it was just that reminder that there's really important reasons why we need to be able to do this, but also ways to do it.
Correct. You
Um,
know, you say that, and I think in my thought process now, uh, around my age and everything as it compares. Okay, so we have Nathan Rudolph. Hey, Nathan.
hey, Nate.
Great seeing you, man. Appreciate you. Uh, he says, all of Pat's books are great and written in a storytelling format. Okay. Great
Yeah,
information.
that's what I've heard. I look forward. I'm glad you are familiar with them, Nate, because I look forward to reading more of his books or listening if I can.
So my in my framework, in where where my mind is setting, hasn't set yet, it's getting there because I know it's going to get there, is I rather burn the whole building down, um and build it again. Meaning, I don't want to be in relationships that are controlling, that have nuances that I have to do something in order for you to do. I so I'm doing a check of these relationships, and and I am protecting my peace and
Mm,
protecting my joy at this stage in my life. And I think this is what I'm going to be until I die. And when I say I'm going to burn the whole place down, is have those conversations and say, I'm not going to engage in this relationship that is based on me doing certain things for you. I am,
mm,
if my relationship with you is because I love you, my relationship with you is because I cherish being around you. But if my relationship is based on I shouldn't hang out with Traci, I mean, it's such a
mm,
juvenile thought process. I mean, as trivial as that, and it goes up to engagements in business, right? That you have this person as a client, so I don't think I'm gonna engage with you because they aren't my cup of tea. But and before I would say, oh no, you don't have to meet, but I'm not going to sell myself and sell my authentic self,
mhm,
right? I'm
mhm,
going to remain Wulwyn. I'm going to engage as Wulwyn. He's smiling, he's laughing, he's friendly with everybody, but you're not going to put me in anything that, we call it here in Liberia, they say money violence. So someone who has money and can dictate the environment that comes around them.
mhm.
So I don't want Traci around here. So Traci, everybody, Traci's out. She's out of the circle. No, if Traci's out of the circle, I'm out of the circle because I'm not dependent upon you. So those conversations, and the strange thing is, I had one of those conversations. You know what I love. Look, eavesdroppers. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I love about eavesdrop. We started this, as you said, as you heard, we haven't seen each other. It was a telephone call, and I couldn't, and she couldn't, and where she stopped, I started. Where I stopped, she started. She picked it up, etc. But what we found out in eavesdrop is every single time we were engaging, you remember how you said, "Oh, I know I'm going off on a tangent, Warren, but it was go there." Strangely, it's about what's going on in my life and what I'm going through now in terms of having these hard conversations that if the person on the other end does not understand where I'm coming from and I'm telling them my motive is clear, is clean, is not clandestine, and if you still can be mature enough to understand that I'm coming clean to you and I don't have any second, third motives, ideas about it, I'm okay with you going. I'm okay with letting you go because you and I aren't on the same page.
Mhm. Letting go. So what I'm hearing, can I clarify a couple things for our listeners as well?
No,
How?
no, as you understand it, go ahead.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we're
yeah.
here for.
Well, so yeah, a couple things because it's making me, I'm big on distinctions
Hmm.
because I don't think
Hmm.
it's always one way or the other. Like, we should
Correct.
walk away to keep our peace always. And I'll bring
Hmm.
up the point on what that is because sometimes our peace is our comfort zone.
Yep. Oh.
And it's right. And so what
Hmm.
I'm hearing you say, and this is what I want to
Hmm.
clarify, what I'm
Uh
hearing you
huh.
say is authenticity, making discerned decisions based on authenticity,
Hmm.
which is I'm not here to make you happy. I'm not here to keep you safe. I'm not here to make sure you're secure. That's your job. I can support you and I can do as much as I can within the bounds of what I do. But I don't want to have to feel like I am responsible for your life. You're responsible for your life just as I'm responsible for mine. And anybody who wants me to change how I want to live my life, I mean, within reason, if we're
Mhm.
doing terrible things against humanity, all right.
Oh
But
yeah,
we're
correct.
talking about not that.
Yes,
That
yes.
authenticity is about me being able to live in accordance, not being reliant on you for my happiness, for my well-being, for my, what I need to take responsibility for myself, right? That is not
Mhm.
to live be in relationships that are codependent,
Correct.
right? That, I need to do certain things so that you feel safe and happy. That is not what I want, right? And if we are
Mhm.
not aligned, that's okay.
Correct.
Another side to that peace thing that brings me
Mhm.
peace to know I can take responsibility as the creator of my life, right? Not
Uh-huh.
not big creator within my realm on this planet, right?
Correct.
Making the decisions and taking accountability and responsibility for those said decisions. Aside from that, I just had a situation, and this hopefully will exemplify this a little bit. A situation
Okay.
a couple weeks ago with a client who, how do I put this?
I love
He
this.
he struggles with pushback. His ego's very strong on certain triggers.
Mm.
And his method to deal with that is to project, right? So, in other words, when I ask as a coach and dig deeper and he gets
Uh-huh.
uncomfortable, he makes it about me and not him, right? So, and again, it's both conscious and unconscious. I mean, this is part of the work I do. But what I've
Mhm.
noticed with me, this is not about him as much as it's about me. What I
Uh-huh.
noticed about me is I've gotten, and this is why this book that I mentioned earlier is so important for me to remember, is that I will have a gut sense. And because I'm finding that my head is starting to prioritize things that maybe it shouldn't prioritize. In other words, prioritizing his comfort
Mhm.
over his growth. And
Mm.
what that means to me is I'm not doing my job. And
Correct.
so a couple weeks ago, I've been very sensitive lately to ego. So if somebody's in their ego, and again, I don't look at ego as right or wrong. It happens when we feel like we need to protect ourselves, right? And
Mhm.
that's a normal thing. But I get a felt sense now when somebody's in their
Mm.
ego. And that felt sense affects my gut. And
Mm.
I'll get this queasy gut. It's really weird. It's like it's been going on for the last 5 months. But it's more and more sensitized. And so if I, like, for example, I worked with a client for a little bit of time. And to his credit, he stepped back. He goes, I don't think I'm ready for this process because
Wow.
he's in crisis. And so he's
Mm.
in ego. And when I pointed that out very uncomfortably in a session, he said, this is really uncomfortable. And I don't know if I'm ready for this because there's just too much crisis going on. So I'm going to back off of this. But
Mm.
he recognized it. He was aware. And
Yes.
I
I was
love
aware.
that because there's no
Correct.
right or wrong. But it's that idea that when somebody is, it's like, oh, I want to dive in because when we're in that space, we're operating from fight, flee, faint, freeze, or fawn, right? We're going
Mm.
to do one of those things to try to manipulate our comfort, right?
Yeah.
To make sure we look good, we are right. It's about being right, looking good, being safe, and being comfortable. So
Mhm.
and that's not where we're making our best decisions in reality.
Mm.
And so I leaned in on this one client, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, and there was a very heavy pushback.
Ooh.
And it was really uncomfortable. And what I realized when I stepped back during and after that session is it triggered my own feelings that, started way back when I was a kid.
Okay.
And, I would push these issues because I would hear something that I felt needed to be illuminated. And I would get in trouble. I would get that booming voice that
Yeah.
usually male, right? My father, or a male archetype, um, would push me back
Mhm.
down. You're out of your place. Get back in your place. And I found myself having that natural reaction as my own individual self. And
Mm.
it was a reminder that it's so important as coaches and as leaders, in general, to remember that from a systemic standpoint, we're always bringing our own system dynamics to the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
So it's not like when I look at my relationship with clients, it's not as I'm up here and they're down here. I'm teacher, they're student. They may be learning things from me, but I'm learning just as much from our engagement.
So true.
And that's very humbling to me. I think that's an important place to always be in my engagements. And so it always is wonderful for me when I do that. But what I reminded for both of us is that we both were an ego in that moment. And I had to work very, very hard to separate my trigger, right, of feeling uncomfortable and being with that discomfort. So continuing to wear the coach hat, because that's my job, while I was still the human Traci, the part that wasn't the coach, was very uncomfortable in that moment. And when I walked out of that experience with so much more depth of understanding, not only I felt like I showed up more authentically for that client, because there was a moment where the pushback created the opposite effect. And because I was able to stay kind of in my coach role and not be defensive, right, in my triggered role, there was a moment where we held that discomfort together to the point where he had the authentic response, right? He busted through the wall, and there was some emotion, and there was some breakthrough, and there was some sharing. And I said, that's the thing.
Correct.
Right? That's the thing that we get to talk about. But there was so much, no, that's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. And when we do that, we oftentimes don't realize we're doing that because we don't want to place discomfort on others. We don't want to place discomfort on ourselves, but it's the very thing keeping us stuck.
Correct.
And because I was willing to sit with my own discomfort and his discomfort and not make it about any other stories that had happened with either one of us in our pasts, he was able to break through in the present. And and it was the analogy I used with him is that, what's going on right now is a natural reaction. It's like you have a hurt. Like, let's say it's a wound on your hand and I'm poking at it. And you're saying, stop poking at my wound. I'm like, this is not about me poking at your wound. It's about the fact you have a wound.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we usually like, stop. Like, I'm going to make it about you. You stop attacking me. You stop. And it's like, it's not about me. It's just the fact that I'm actually pointing at something that needs to be addressed. And that's what it's about. What is that wound about? And when we started to make it about the wound and not about the poking and not about who was poking and you don't have the right to poke, and this is about, when all of that discomfort was sat with, what came up was all this, and I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with this, and which was way under the surface before. It was, everything was fine. Stop talking about that. And it's not, and what has happened since has been so healing for him. But again, all of this is to say that discomfort, being able to sit in our own discomfort, sometimes just quietly with ourselves and not distract ourselves with busying around things, right? Whether it's we feed ourselves with, entertainment or
distractions,
or whatever those distractions are, food, alcohol, entertainment, sex, you name it, like whatever it happens to be able to sit with the fact that we hurt. And we don't even need to know why. Like, I wasn't sitting there going, why am I so uncomfortable about that? Like, what does this have to do with like my inner child? I wasn't doing inner child work at that time.
Correct.
I just knew I was uncomfortable. And it's sometimes just allowing ourselves just to be uncomfortable, because it builds muscles that will atrophy if we don't allow ourselves to use them.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were talking, I wrote down maturity in discomfort, right? And discomfort is comforting. I like how you made, when I was talking about the piece on my peace, protecting my peace, and the difference is my I am so okay with you telling me that I've done something wrong. I'm so like okay with it in terms of if in an engagement, if I went off kilt, right, off the road, or just I'm okay with knowing that I did it, because sometimes I know I did it because it's I just need to stick it to you, and that's I don't care. I don't care the after effects of this. It has to come out now, right? Um, which I've my libra the libra in me wants to balance everything, so it's hard for me to come in and go, okay, I'm gonna just stick it to you and don't care. I'm just gonna be I will be in discomfort.
Mm.
However, if the what's occurring is something that you can't express because it's so many layers below, and you're not expressing it expressly. You're saying, I'm not going to talk. I cannot go in there and hey, what's going on down there? Oh, I see something here. Oh, this is what you're trying to say? Is this what I don't have the time to do it. But when I see your face, my intelligence tells me there's discomfort somewhere with you, and go, Tracy, is something wrong? Did I do something to you? And you tell me no. And I still see you and I go again, did I do something? No. I'm okay with leaving that situation and you being in your issue saying, I'm not going to engage with Wulwyn anymore. I
Mm.
think I've done my part in terms of engaging you to say, look, I noticed there's something going on. Can you let me know so I could change, or tell me if I did something, or so I could explain, rather, not change,
Mm.
but explain my position. So having the conversation, your eavesdroppers, is having hard conversations that may even get harder, but staying within it so that it unfolds the petals of goodness, right?
Well, it's also about being able to be with people even when they're not at their best. And
Mm-hmm,
and I think that I mean, yes, to your point, we need to have boundaries, right? Because again, if people start to get in ways where and not all of us are made for the same purposes too. My
correct.
design, I'm a coach for a reason, right? One of the expertise levels of expertise, not only in training but in innate design, that I have is wanting to be with people to illuminate their truth.
Mm-hmm,
That is just my design. It's what I'm here for.
mm-hmm.
Whether
Yep.
it's as a coach, as a mother, as a friend, as a person, stranger walking down the street, like I'm a truth illuminator. Like that's just my job. And so for that reason, you like to believe that you want to grow yourself to be as effective in that job as possible.
Mm.
So for me, that, like you said with your librarians, I'm Leo Cancer, so I'm Sun Moon. So I'm like, I embrace both opposites, like I can be in my emotions and I can be fiery and like, let's get some stuff done.
Uh-huh.
So I can balance that, but that's how
Gotcha.
I'm designed, and
Mm-hmm.
and I can be comfortable in both worlds. I can be comfortable being fiery and in your face, and I can be comfortable sitting back and being more, engaging with the emotional side of things. And so I think looking at our ability, first of all, that's what's so important about figuring out our design
Mm-hmm.
and the lane that we were majestically created to run in, right? Like that we were
Yes.
divinely, um, the skills and traits we were divinely bestowed.
Mm.
Um, that I think that's a big part. I mean, a big part of why I do what I do and how I do it. But I think in this particular conversation, this balance between protecting our authenticity and our boundaries and learning to be with people as they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's that fine line between them. I posted something the other day, which is, accept people as they are, but place them in the roles within your life that are most appropriate. And
Say that again.
I paraphrased what I posted, but that's essentially it.
Say that again,
Right?
please. Say that again, please. I
Oh
need to
gosh,
get it.
what did I just say?
Accept people for who they are and
Accept
put
people
them.
as they are, but put them in their appropriate places within your life, right? So give them the roles that are appropriate within your life, right? And that's again within your authenticity, what's right and what is not okay for you, and the boundaries that you hold. Um, that's the powerful thing. That's the juice, right? It's how do we do both, right?
Oh, accept people as they are and place them in appropriate places within your life. Ah, that, that, my friend, is the conclusion of what I think I was saying to you about individuals, relationships, etc. Right? Is I understand you've shown me who you are. You've shown me that you're manipulative. You've shown me that you love me. You've shown me. So I'm talking about different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I know I'm around someone who loves me, my vulnerability, I stay remain vulnerable because around every, but there are levels that I open up to whomever because I know I'm going to place this person in this place that they really can't take my vulnerability at this moment because they will see it as a weakness and they will take it as a gossip, which I really don't care, but I just don't want to go through that. I'm just wise to that. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
around someone who cares and loves me, I'm open 100%, 150%. Or even if not even someone who cares and loves me, if I'm around someone who my spirit, my I discern that I'm okay with this person. It's the person you just meet. You haven't met them in your life, and you can just tell them your entire story. You're vulnerable to them, right with them. So I'm I know my spirit knows as I'm engaging with whomever the level of where I should put them on that scale of that skill. I wouldn't say scale of preference, the skill within my life of how I want to engage with them. So my conclusion on this is I eavesdrop. I love it. I You have a marker on you, and based on your marker, I'm just gonna put you in the appropriate place because I
Mm-hmm.
know your mark. Your mark is a manipulator. I know where to put a manipulator. So
Mm-hmm.
manipulator is gonna be very far from me. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, hey, and I'm going the other way though.
Yeah, well, and
So,
I mean, they say, you become like the five closest people you spend the most time with, and I think that that speaks to this directly. And one of
wow.
the things I've been practicing lately too is not jumping to conclusions. Is I've been really sitting, it's like accepting people as they are, but also leaning into curiosity because I've been wrong before. I mean, I'm very intuitive and I can read people pretty
Mhm.
well, but it doesn't mean like I'm 100% right all the
Correct.
time because sometimes I'm acting from my own unconscious blind spots that
That's
have
true.
to do with wounds and stories from my own past. And I'm projecting that unconsciously onto the person I just met. So
Correct.
I've been more like sitting back and going, okay, this is my initial assessment,
Mm-hmm.
but let me be curious. Let me test that theory, right? Let me not just assume and move on. I did that a lot when I was younger. It's like
Mm.
with everything, not just people and the assessment of that, and a lot of the time I was right. But at the same time, I feel like I also made a lot of very big decisions, judgments in my life that I quickly, you know, ran away from that I now look
Mm.
back and go, I think, sorry, we got the
Hey, I will
gaffy
use
going.
your third Wednesday. We're good.
It is that time. That I look back on now and wish that I hadn't been so hasty in my reaction. And so, I think keep that distance, keep that, if there's question, like if the
Mm-hmm.
assessment is, I'm not sure. But I've also had the ones where I realized now I was overriding gut instincts about certain things because I wanted to give the person the benefit of the doubt. So it's that
Gotcha.
more quiet assessment and just allow people to really, again, accept them for as, for who they are, and let
Yeah.
it play out.
Yeah.
um if it doesn't feel right, I just take a distance. If it
There you
feels
go.
right, I might lean in a little bit more, but I'm not just throwing all my eggs in one basket or the other so quickly anymore.
Correct. No, agree. I think that's what we talked about maturity. There's a maturity and
Mhm.
discomfort, right?
That's right.
Uh, I see a lot of you jumping on, hey, let us know what you're thinking on the conversation. Let us know where you're coming from. Don't just come and eavesdrop, even though it's eavesdrop in a moment, but say something, right?
Right, please speak to us. We want engagement.
We feed off your engagement also. But yeah, I think one of the and what we've been talking for the past few minutes was accepting people as they are and place them in appropriate places within your life. I think that encapsulates. Uh, I think that encapsulates maturity in relationships.
I think
Tracy,
so.
I think it
I I
encapsulates.
I agree. And I feel like in the heated times that we're in, I call them heated times because it just seems like things are getting hotter and hotter in every respect. Maybe once we get into the winter time, it'll be colder and colder. I don't know, but that my response to that is to say, where are we here to maybe test our own capacity? Again, that discomfort.
Mm,
Like I'm uncomfortable, so I immediately want to change it. I keep thinking about, if the big thing nowadays is the doing the uh what's it, the like sauna and then jumping into a cold plunge. It's
okay.
very good for your health. But
Oh.
I'm seeing it show up everywhere on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and all these different, places. And that idea of shocking our system, like, why is
Yeah.
that good? Well, it purges us in a lot of ways, but it also creates resilience. I mean, like I said, it's like a muscle. If we're always trying to be comfortable, I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's our natural inclination to move towards pleasure and away from pain. But what happens is if we're always doing that in every aspect, we become weak, right? Our
Mm.
immune system's weak. And this is why the cold, the hot, the cold actually strengthens people do it because it strengthens the immune system,
Gotcha.
and our immune systems are under attack. I mean, more than ever. And so really strengthening our immune systems is the best way to go, and in a lot of ways, for a lot of reasons. And that applies to everything, right? Our
Mm.
immune system is like, the way we do one thing is the way we are built to function
Yeah.
is the same way everywhere, right? So building ourselves up, not just from a physical standpoint and a physically functional standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. I mean, one of the biggest threats right now is mental health, or
Mm.
the lack
Yeah.
of good mental health in many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And so, we want to strengthen what strengthens mental health. Well, when we're always expecting ourselves to be comfortable, the moment that we have discomfort,
Mm.
we lose our stuff.
Yeah.
That's not, we're not mentally stable if we can't handle a certain degree of stress, right? And so the more we're able to strengthen our capacity for stress, the more resilient we become, the healthier we are, the more
Mm.
we can continue to live. We just got new baby chicks, and
Mm.
we got the next day one of them was dead, and we were all like, oh gosh, I hope nothing's wrong with, and we were talking to the person who we got them from. They're like, sometimes we have the weaker ones that's
Stress.
just the stress of the move
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
handle,
Yeah.
and they don't make it. And
Wow.
so it's that reminder constantly that it's up to us to strengthen ourselves. I mean, yes, we have certain genetics and certain predispositions already, but there's so much more we can do to strengthen ourselves in that capacity, so that we don't know what's coming. I mean, if 2020 and every other year we've had since then hasn't taught us that we need to be resilient, I
But
don't know what has.
hey Fitzgerald, hey, how are you? From Atlanta, from Georgia, Fitzgerald.
Hey,
Thanks
Fitzgerald.
for coming in. Uh, but as you were saying it, I think it discomfort, and I put innovation, right? Discomfort and innovation. You cannot create. So Fitz he runs a restaurant in Atlanta, and they do
Mm,
excellent karaoke, have uh, traditional Liberian food, and a fusion of Western and African foods. So it's just amazing that he would come in here and I'm talking about innovation and discomfort. I'm thinking in his business, right? It's why should I just cook one type? Why can't I put a fusion in here and innovate? Some people will be like, okay, I have a European restaurant. I will not put any other thing in here. I will just keep it European. Or will keep it South American. But I think your innovation comes up when and being in Africa right now, Traci, I tell you, the Home Depots aren't here. The you have the shops, but they they don't carry what you want. You're like, I need this. Oh no, it's gonna come next week. It's gonna come in 3 weeks. Okay, so my discomfort makes me an innovator here.
mm,
What I do is I go and I look at the problem and I go and I call the welder and says, build me a gym.
mhm.
Build it this way. I want a pull-up bar, I want a chin up, I want XYZ. Had I been around the Home Depot or Sears or whatever, I can just, or Amazon, hey, can you ship me uh, a part here for me to fix this thing or to get in and assemble it. Discomfort in our relationships brings innovation
Yeah.
in how we can engage. One,
Yes.
and I heard you talk about, the stress. Stress is
Mhm.
good. Be careful with the type of stress, right?
That's right.
I heard a story. I heard a story. I think I told you. If I have, tell me, Wulwyn, shut up, because that's how my kids go now. I say, in 1996, I was playing, but Daddy, we heard that story. Okay, in 1998, I robbed. I'm like, okay, what did
Yeah, I've
I
heard
tell
that
you?
one too a couple times. Yeah.
But they said that they were, taking salmon across the ocean, to, shipping it across the ocean, or shipping it far. And the salmon didn't have the taste, the usual taste from directly at the ocean, directly from fishing versus shipping. So
Well,
the
sure.
guy had tasted the salmon and said, "Oh, this is very good." So he eats it. He says, "Okay, I would like to order. I would like us to get these, ship them over to me." Um, oh my goodness, Nathan, I'm going to put that up in a quick second. Let me finish this up. We got a good one from Nathan. um,
I bet. I
so
bet.
so so the the first batch arrived, didn't have some, like, no, it doesn't have the taste. Second batch, he goes, well, you know what? I think I'm okay. I'm going to cancel the orders. The fisherman gets the idea. Uh, Gosh, I need to do something. I don't know where he got it from, but he takes, uh, I think, a baby shark. He puts it in, because it was live in a bin that they were sending it. Puts a baby shark in that thing and shipped it with. When the guy tasted the salmon, he was like, "Yeah, it's the taste." What occurred was the stress placed on the salmon of swimming and trying to avoid being eaten enabled it to keep that taste, that freshness, in order for him to go, oh, this is the taste.
It was
So
alive. Everything was pumping.
that there you go. So it's the balance of the type of stress, right? I know I don't want someone running behind me to to eat me, for the best to come out of me. But what we're
Mhm.
saying is, as you're engaging and get the right stress, the stress that makes you go, ugh, I don't think that's the stress you want to be around.
No, well, there's
But
capacity, and we all have a different capacity. I think it's about,
correct.
it's like anything else. When you're trying to prepare yourself for something, you take little bites at a time, right? So, being able to hold a little bit more stress, a little bit more stress, a little bit more stress, we grow by in increments.
Yes.
But I think what I'm hearing you say in this particular case is that, we want to be able to recognize where, and sitting with the stress allows for the breakthrough. The breakthrough
Hmm.
can be a breakthrough of, aha, I found something deeper. It could be something of, aha, a solution. It
Yeah.
could be whatever that breakthrough is. It comes from sitting with the stress, not from
Correct.
avoiding it.
Correct.
And that's, I think, what we're saying here, is that when we avoid, like, again, we can decrease stress if we need to. Again, if you're bleeding out, you can't take more stress.
You
By
can't
all
take it.
means, stop the bleeding, right? That's not what we're talking about. It is important that we learn how to even handle the stress we're already dealing with, and we're not just piling it on ourselves. But I'm talking about the situations where we cannot allow ourselves to be uncomfortable.
Correct.
Right? We will not allow ourselves to look there or see that or have those conversations or whatever, because it's too challenging. Those are the
Correct.
things we're talking about leaning
Oh
into
yeah.
and
Correct.
sitting with, even just within ourselves, to say, what is it exactly that is making me so uncomfortable?
Mm.
Instead of just saying, I'm going to drink this drink to calm down, or I'm going to, to just ease my
Yeah.
worries, or I'm going to just, watch video or play video games all the time, just so my mind is working on something else other than this problem, or, distractions.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. So Fitzgerald, I know you're gone. You subscribe. Thank you so much. Enjoy your meeting you're going to. So Nate goes, by putting people in their box. Is that a self-preservation mechanism to avoid conflict and discomfort?
Mm, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
I mean, it could. Some people will use it as a self-preservation, I would say, but I think
Well, that's
personally
the
for
distinction we're talking about.
correct.
That's the
Yes,
distinction. It's like,
yes.
if it's a need. Okay, so to answer Nate's question here, and Nate may already know this, and he's asking it for everybody else to think
I
about.
understand.
So Nate, that would be a Nate thing to do. But the distinction is how we're feeling as we're making that discernment, right? So if it's a reaction because we're uncomfortable, probably it's because we don't want to deal with the discomfort.
Mm.
If it's a boundary thing, and it's coming from a clear understanding of, I will, the way this person's treating me, or, this is just not for me. I mean, I had a conversation about 3 weeks ago with someone who's been a dear friend for a long time. And I left that conversation feeling like, I'm okay letting that person go out of my life. And it wasn't anything that, it was a fine conversation. I just don't feel the gelling anymore.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't for any reason. He didn't do anything to me. I mean, it was more just, I just don't feel it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that came from just almost a surprise, like, I think
Wow.
maybe we've outgrown each other, right? We're just going in different directions or whatever. So I think that can be something that could be a triggering thing, where somebody does take you on, and they're always taking you on, and they always have to try to control you, or whatever.
Yes.
And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm just kind of done with that.
Yeah.
Or it can
Yeah.
just be something like, I just don't, like, I'm just not feeling it with this person anymore. And that's okay, right? Like, what I was having this conversation with somebody not too long ago, where when we make decisions, like what you said, it's like, yeah, but I can change my mind. Like, I said
I
that
like
5
that.
years ago, and that was true then, but I'm in a different place now, and I don't see
Uh,
things that way anymore. So I can change my mind.
you said, I like that. I like that. Nathan, for me, I'm saying I want to define box, right? If the box is someone who has proven with the attitude, with their just everything when I
Behavior.
engage, that they are supposed to be in that box, then that box is me just self-preserving, not to avoid conflict or discomfort, just self-preserving for my peace sake. Because for me to keep doing something over and over, knowing that the outcome will never change, that person has proven to me, or that situation has proven to me, you in business or anything, just across the board, if you keep going somewhere and the identical result occurs, and you know it's going to occur, recur rather, I'm just going to self-preserve by not going back there and reliving the discomfort of being around it. So maybe, yeah, I want to avoid that discomfort.
Well, and the other thing that we're not talking about here directly, other than boundaries and authenticity, is priorities.
Good question. Good. 1 second before you go there, Nathan. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciated that.
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Priorities.
is priorities. Sometimes when a discomfort comes up, where we will, it's like, oh, there's a great opportunity to grow, and that can be even with a person where they're acting the same way and we're getting the same thing. It's like, well, what can I learn out of this? What can I learn from this? Is there something I can lean more into or ask more crucial questions or whatever? But we only have so much time in our lives, and if we're trying to accomplish certain things, and I don't just mean accomplish from a success standpoint, I mean, I really value, I see my energy as a vote, and where I put my energy and effort is what I vote for. So it's like, if I have this thing over here and I have this other thing over here, and this really resonates over here and this doesn't, I may just make a prioritization decision. And it's not really to avoid discomfort or what, it's just that I have this much of energy right now. And what I choose to put it into is this. It's not a distraction. It's literally a decision, right? Of which one is more priority to me, right? So all these things matter. One of the things I have been talking a lot to clients about, has been coming up a lot as a theme, is prioritization. Like, how do we prioritize in our lives? And it speaks to decision making, obviously. But it's a very specific focus within the decision-making lens or arena. And so I think that sometimes too is just like, all right, I've got 5 more hours in today, and I've got this person knocking at my door with yet another, drama, let's call it.
Yeah.
And I have this other thing that I want to really put my energy into, that I'm trying to develop, which one I might avoid this temporarily, or put this on the back burner in order to prioritize this other thing that really I would rather vote my energy for right now.
Oh my goodness, Traci, can you imagine it's 5 o'clock where I am? Remember the saying? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and it's 5 o'clock right now. But no, Traci, it's always a pleasure. Always excellent spending these beautiful every other Wednesdays with you. I'm pretty sure the next one would be in September the 13th. So for those of you who are watching, please go back to replay on YouTube. We have the entire catalog. You can go to a Google Podcast, go to, I think it's Anchor FM and Spotify. You can get Eavesdrop in a Moment to listen to 4 seasons of work. But Traci, I tell you, give a goodbye here, and then we get out of here.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for showing up, everybody who joined us today. It was great to see Nate and Fitzgerald. New Fitz, I can't wait to come visit your fabulous Liberian fusion restaurant at some point.
Oh, hey, you'll see it.
Yeah, but we appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Hey, you guys, take care. Bye-bye.